Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Natalia Moczulska and this is the news. Tonight, a gala was held to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Republika Television. Celebrating the round anniversary would not be possible without you, that is our wonderful viewers. It is you above all that we thank so much. Although it has only been 10 years since the establishment of the Republika television station, we have already managed to play a key role in building pluralism in the Polish media. Journalists offered viewers materials free from political correctness and dependence on the authorities of the day. It broke through on the internet, was quoted, set precedents. It was a stormtrooper that led to change, because the conspiracy of silence was no longer so tight. But we were able to make a name for ourselves not only on the internet anymore, but in the television broadcasting market. On April 3, 2013, the National Broadcasting Council, through a resolution, granted Republika Television a license to broadcast a television program. Polish society expected reliable coverage of the tragic events of April 10, 2010, speaking and conveying the truth about the cursed soldiers, or looking at the authorities' hands. Republika TV was there to try to fight journalistic independence. Republika Television has disenchanted the device that is television. In the Third Republic, media was arranged in a way that decided the type of language that can be used on TV and other things that are not suitable for TV. Republika TV was actually a revolution in the history of Polish television. Suddenly, content that was extremely unacceptable became acceptable. Many journalists who were not afraid to speak the truth started their careers at Republika Television. I am very happy that I started at Republika Television because I still remember the days when there were three presidents, Tomasz Sakiewicz, Piotr Borowkowski, and Bronisław Wilczstein, and me, who carried documents in a tiny briefcase. And that was all of Republika Television. My heart warms that such a TV station was created. This bloodletting to public television and to other media was very significant. Today we can say that we have rebuilt our position thanks to our viewers. Here we gathered very important journalists who still set the tone in many editorial offices today. The TV program has a wide thematic offer. We are steadily developing our frame. We try to be close to our viewers, their concerns and problems. After 10 years of activity, the team of Republika Television is made up of experienced editors and presenters on the one hand, and young, ambitious journalists on the other. I've done a lot of different things at Republika TV. Research, publishing, weather forecasting, which I remember very fondly, now journalistic programs, and my beloved intervention program. I frankly admit that I am touched, but I wish us all another 10 years, and then another 10, and then 100, and so on and so forth. The 10th anniversary gala of Republika TV began earlier today at 7 p.m. Chairman of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, Ruslan Stefańczuk, spoke today in the Polish Sejm. In his speech, he thanked Poles for their help in the face of the Russian invasion and referred to the tragic events in Volhynia 80 years ago. He assured that Ukraine will cooperate, which will result in reaching the truth and making a proper assessment of the circumstances of the massacre of Polish civilians by Ukrainian nationalists. On July 11th, we will commemorate the victims of the Volhynia massacre on the 80th anniversary of the so-called Bloody Sunday, the mass genocide committed against Poles by Stepan Bandera's organization of Ukrainian nationalists. Chairman of the Supreme Council of Ukraine, Ruslan Stefańczuk, announced Polish-Ukrainian cooperation and acknowledged that the truth about the events should be accepted. We are ready and open to cooperation with Poland. Together, we will search for and restore memorial sites. Together, we will restore from oblivion those who have been forgotten in nameless graves, both in Ukraine and Poland. Ruslan Stefańczuk thanked Poles for their assistance in repelling Russian aggression and exemplary contributions to humanitarian and military supplies. The whole world is impressed by the above-average humanity you have expressed in your attitude and determination of Polish people. You delivered to us the first Leopard tanks. The Ukrainian sky is protected by Polish MiG-29 planes. The Polish Foreign Ministry also sees an opportunity to strengthen bilateral relations, which should not be affected by history. The tragic events in Volhynia have been addressed in the past by Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. Kiev wants to meet our expectations. This is the next step to clarify all these ambiguities in the relations between Poland and Ukraine when it comes to the Volhynia massacre, another step taken by the Ukrainian side. It can be said that step by step we are approaching a solution satisfactory to the Polish side. According to experts, Poland's not inconsiderable contribution to support the struggling Ukraine is conducive to improving diplomatic relations. Stefanchuk called the Poles friends of Ukraine, who constantly prove their solidarity with Kiev. Ukrainian nationalists and civilians who murdered 60,000 Poles are responsible for the Volhynian slaughter, a crime carried out between 1943 and 1945 in the Volhynian province of the Second Polish Republic. Some 3,000 Ukrainians were killed in retaliation. Russians, Jews, Armenians, and Czechs were also victims of genocide. The persecution reached the provinces of Lviv, Ternopil, and Stanislav. In total, some 100,000 people were killed. The cause of the crime was the growing hatred of Ukrainian peasants towards Poles. It found its final outlet during the Second World War, at a time when the statehood of the Second Republic was lacking. The largest manhunt took place on July 11, 1943. UPA units made a coordinated attack on 99 Polish villages, mainly in the districts of Kowel, Chorochowski, and Włodzimierski. Volhynia, which was the main theater of this slaughter, is historically a land associated with Poland since even the most ancient times, while the characteristic of this part of the Second Republic was that Ukrainians, Jews, and other nationalities also lived there. It was a multi-ethnic area, with such parts where Ukrainians obviously had the advantage. Ukrainian nationalism as a current of political thought emerged in the first half of the 19th century. Today, such radical views are not found in the Ukrainian public space. Ukrainians have also experienced suffering and loss of loved ones. Russian cruelty invaded Bucha, Irpin, Izium, Borodyanka, and Hostomel, where occupiers murdered, imprisoned, or tortured civilians. I saw such a small Katyn in Izium, where I was at the exhumation of the graves of Ukrainian soldiers murdered by the Russians. All the more reason for them to understand the need for reparations, at least in this form, to bring the truth to light and respect the burial sites and allow families to visit their fallen. According to experts, strong Polish-Ukrainian relations are a guarantee of European security. Today, the Ukrainians managed to achieve another success. The head of the Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, announced the withdrawal from Bakhmut. The group had been fighting for the city since last December, in which 20,000 mercenaries were killed. Exactly 75 years ago, the Ministry of Public Security, commonly known as UB, murdered Rotmistrz Witold Pilecki, who devoted his entire life to Poland. He fought in both world wars, was a soldier, scout, and poet. For years in the People's Republic of Poland, his memory was blurred. However, after 1989, thanks to the bottom-up work of historians and social activists, his figure was appreciated. The Polish president laid a wreath at the site of the former prison on Rakowiecka Street in Warsaw, where Witold Pilecki was murdered. Andrzej Duda reminded us that today is the International Day of Heroes of the fight against totalitarianism. Rotmistrz Witold Pilecki, without a doubt, an extraordinary figure, a great patriot, a man of extraordinary nobility, is precisely the world symbol of the hero of the fight against totalitarianisms. He fought against both totalitarianisms for the freedom of his homeland, for freedom and human rights. Witold Pilecki came from a noble family. At the end of World War I, he joined the self-defense units that took over Vilnius in late 1918 and early 1919. During the Polish Bolshevik War, he defended Warsaw. What preoccupied him most of all is the idea of the freedom of independence of the homeland. He sacrificed himself for others, for Poland. At the beginning of September 1939, already as a reserve second lieutenant, he fought against the Germans. After losing the defensive war, he made his way to Warsaw to create the underground state. In 1940, as a volunteer, Pilecki was sent to the German death camp Auschwitz, where he formed the underground. Witold Pilecki in the German camp in Auschwitz created a network that had, let's say, 500 people, and these were people who helped each other. I think he also gave them hope that something could be done in that hell. On the night of April 26th to April 27th, 1943, Pilecki managed to escape from the camp. He took part in the Warsaw Uprising. Despite being an officer, he fought like a private with a gun in his hand. He then ended up in German captivity. After regaining his freedom, he fought in the Anders army. On the general's personal orders, he returned to Poland, where he formed the anti-communist underground. A man who, after all the realities of 1945, after the end of the war, could have ceased his activities, made a decision in accordance with his conscience that there was still no free Poland, that it was still necessary to continue the struggle for Poland to regain its independence. On May 8, 1947, he was arrested by officers of the Security Office. Witold Pilecki was accused of intelligence activity on behalf of the Polish government in exile. After being tortured in the secret police's torture chambers and a rigged political trial, he was murdered by a shot to the back of the head. Pilecki, belonging to this camp of truth, that's how I would put it, was a person who had to be eliminated from political life. Not only Pilecki, by the way, but also Emil Fildorf, Kasznica, Inka, Zagończyk. I am using pseudonyms here. These people did not qualify according to the communists, and it was monstrous to remain among the living. To date, Witold Pilecki has not been identified. It is likely that his body was thrown into the death pits along with other victims of communism at Łączka and Powązki. In Free Poland, he was posthumously awarded the Commander's Cross of the Order of Polonia Restituta and the Order of the White Eagle, and was promoted to the rank of colonel in 2013. Tina Turner passed away last night. She was 83 years old. The Queen of Rock and Roll died after a long illness at her home near Zurich, Switzerland. The world-famous star sold more than 100 million records. She announced her retirement in 2009. In Hollywood, fans gather by the star that Tina Turner was honored with in 1986, bringing flowers and mementos to say goodbye to this great star, a singer, but also an actress, as she starred in several films. In 1985, she starred in the film Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and produced another hit, We Don't Need Another Hero. She was born as Anna Mae Bullock on November 26, 1939. She sang as a teenager, but her great musical career began in the late 1950s, when she became the lead singer of Ike Turner's Kings of Rhythm band. In 1962, she married him, and the couple moved to Los Angeles. The breakthrough for their career together was the song River Deep, Mountain High. However, in 1976, Tina separated from Ike, which was also the end of their joint performances and her financial troubles due to broken contracts. For several years, the Queen of Rock and Roll performed in Las Vegas and other smaller concert stages. Another breakthrough in her career came in 1984. The singer changed her image and recorded her greatest hits. Tina Turner is loved by fans all over the world, which is why there are more flowers on the Avenue of Stars in Hollywood. Next to her Hollywood star, people put CDs and photos. One admirer who heard she had died painted her portrait and left it there too. From Los Angeles, for Republika TV, Małgorzata Schulz. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Please stay tuned for Poland Daily Weather, Poland Daily Business, and some of our other programs. But for me, have a wonderful evening.